Welcome. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare 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 Hare. Haribol. Hare Krishna. Is it on? No, yes. It is? Little only. We only get a little juice today. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can I get a trade-in?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to Japa Circle. It's a worthy cause to look into the truth of the holy name and the process for attaining steadiness in chanting the holy name. This is one of the main topics that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brings up in his teachings, and especially through Haridas Thakur, who is the Nama Acharya. And there are several stages for attaining perfection in chanting the holy names. The first one is Sambandha Gyan, or learning about the glories of the holy name. So for our meditation today, because the mind is the instrument for meditation, actually we are to separate ourselves from the mind and also to make the mind one's friend. The mind has attraction to the matra, or the sense objects of the material world. And there's, in conditioned state of life, an impetus to try to get sense gratification, because that seems to be the highest self-interest for a conditioned soul. So the Srimad Bhagavatam points out that we can't independently satisfy the desires we have, but if we go to the source of everything, of us, of our very soul, then we'll actually become satisfied. So to that end, one of Krishna's names is Vaisesika. And the name Vaisesika means the one who is inclined to bestow blessings and fulfill all desires upon those who meditate on him. I said it a little awkwardly, but it means that when you meditate on Vaisesika, who's Krishna, then he becomes inclined towards you to fulfill all your desires and to bestow all his blessings. All that's required is to think of him. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu points out that the best way to think of Vaisesika is to chant his names. And so when the mind decides to go somewhere else when we're meditating on the chanting, you can remind your mind that there is no other place to go except for thinking of Krishna, because everything else will be attained by that. It is something that Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in his song when he says that there's nothing in the 3 worlds to be obtained and the 14 worlds to be obtained except for the holy name. And in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the following verse to meditate upon. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind to the conditioned souls that if they call upon him by speaking his holy name, even unintentionally or unwillingly, the Lord is inclined to destroy innumerable sinful reactions in their hearts. Therefore, when a devotee who has taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet chants the holy name of Krishna with genuine love, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can never give up the heart of such a devotee. One who has thus captured the Supreme Lord within his heart is to be known as Bhagavata Pradhana, or the most exalted devotee of the Lord. So, the starting point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, for chanting is Sambandha Gyan, realizing a relationship with Krishna. That is, that we're fully dependent on him. He's absolutely benevolent, and he fulfills all our desires exactly the way we're hankering for them to be fulfilled, so there's no other place to go except for to Krishna, and the best way to go to Krishna is by chanting his holy names. That's a summary of the first part of Sambandha Gyan. So there are two more parts that I'll mention later in a few minutes, but the first one is to remember Vrishakapi. Meditate on Krishna. You don't have to go anywhere else. You can be completely satisfied just by thinking of him, by meditating on his holy name. Gaur Premanande Haribol. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Krishna, 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 Ram, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Ram, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Ram, 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Ram, 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 Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Krishna, Krishna, Ram, Ram, Ram.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Ram, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Ram, 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 Krishna. Hare Ram, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Ram, 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 Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Ram, Ram, Ram,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Ram,
Hare Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram, Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna,
Hare
Ram, Ram, Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna,
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, 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 Ram. Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram, Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, 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 Ram. Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram, Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Hare Ram,
Rama,
Ram, Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
Ram, Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Ram, Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram.
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram, Ram, Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna
Hare Rama,
Ram
Hare Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram
Rama, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
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 Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare Ram,
Hare Rama, Hare
Speak
Rama, Rama
properly.
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Rama Rama, Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, 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 Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Krishna Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Rama, Rama
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Hare Hare, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Krishna,
Hare 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 Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna,
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram Hare
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Rama,
Ram
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Ram
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Ram,
Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, 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 Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, oh Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, Sambandha Gyan is important because we have a relationship with Krishna. He's benevolent. He has our highest interest in mind, and he's the only one who can do something about it. And so meditating on Krishna exclusively makes sense. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasizes that we cultivate that knowledge every day and remember that we have that relationship with Krishna. He's our protector, our maintainer, and he's all benevolent. And he can handle all our affairs. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita he says, Sarvadharman Parityaja. Just give up, let it go. I'll handle it all. Don't worry. So a second part that's recommended for the practice of chanting Japa is Sankalpa, which means we have to become aware of our own determination and then state our purpose. As when we act with purpose, then we can fix the mind. And there are mentions of those who have come to the point of being ready to fix their sankalpa. For instance, in the Bhagavatam, Devahuti at 3:25-7 says, I'm very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. For because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance. So sometimes having this sense of being sick and tired of the senses is very helpful. A kind of frustration that what have I received by serving the senses all this time? Now let me fix my mind on Krishna. So in the Sankalpa, there's another way in which we should feel helpless, because that's our actual situation, to realize that I'm floating in or being thrashed by the ocean of material existence. And basically we complain to and tell others our problems. Many different types of people we tell our problems to, right? Or is it just me? I'm constantly complaining. And then we're telling everybody who can't do anything about it. Because ultimately, anybody we complain to can only make some temporary fix. Try complaining to the airline and see what happens. So Prabhupada mentions, why not tell it to Krishna? Tell him your problems, explain to him that I'm being thrashed, and this material energy is extremely onerous, and I'm getting the worst end of the stick here in the material world. This is part of Sankalpa. Become aware of the fact, and then remember Krishna can do something about it, so you can complain to Krishna. Tell him all your problems in your Sankalpa. Feel helpless. Remember that you're sick and tired. Tell him your problems. And then the next part, Sankalpa, the essence of Sankalpa is to beg. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions this, Anechiya Shaudi Maya Nashi Bharalagi. Harinam Mahamantra Lao Tumi Magi. So Magi means to beg. And begging, it requires some sense of necessity or earnestness. That I want something, I don't have anything, so what else can I do? I just have to beg. And don't be too proud to beg. Be in the mode of begging Krishna for his holy name and for his shelter. And state it, make your intention known that I'm helpless, I'm being thrashed, I have a necessity, I'm earnestly asking you, Krishna, please allow me to take this medicine. And this is the second part, Sankalpa. Be ready to fix the mind in this purpose for all the above mentioned reasons. And you may have more, but those are some of the basic ones through which we can fix our purpose when we start chanting. So you can, if you didn't start with a clear Sankalpa, you can try it now for the next couple of rounds. And just take whatever few seconds, 30 seconds to think about it, about helplessness or being tired of being thrashed. And then think about begging and putting your hand out mentally when you're chanting to Krishna, but please, could you help me? Does that sound okay? Yes. You ready? Yes. Okay. Go ahead and beg. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Rama, Hare Rama, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Rama
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram, Ram
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
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 Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram, Ram
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Ram
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Rama Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare Rama,
Ram
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
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 Rama,
Ram,
Hare Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram,
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Ram, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, 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 Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Ram 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 Oh, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Ram 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 Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Ram 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 Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Ram Ram Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
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 Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Rama,
Hare
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 Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Hare Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna
Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare, Hare
Ram Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Krishna Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Ram
Hare Hare,
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Ram
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Ram
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Ram 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 Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram
Hare Krishna. Begging, the best thing to beg for is for service. Because after serving the material energy and the senses for so long, when the devotee realizes the necessity for serving Krishna, it's not automatic that one gets service, because I've got so much invested in my senses and all the service I've done. It's not that the material nature lets us go easily. So it's important to beg for service, because as we get service, then it supplants the material senses and edges it out of the way gradually. The next stage, that goes back to begging and sankalpa. I just forgot to mention it. And the next point is about practice. And it's important to go for consistency. Try to come to nishta, or steadiness. And in the Gita, Krishna says that it's very difficult to control the mind, but it's possible by suitable practice and detachment. And so he says that suitable or putting several concepts together. Suitable means mahat kritena. It follows in the footsteps of the great souls. So you find that aimukta kalera upasyamanam, as Rupa Goswami writes in his Namashtakam, the chanting of the mantra is the most recommended process by the liberated souls. There are numerous other citations, but I'll just give that for the sake of brevity. And in the Bhagavatam, in the prayers of the demigods, they mentioned that the best process for practice is to find out what the great souls have done. They're called the Mahat and Kritena. Mahat Kritena, what have they done? And then follow in their footsteps. So you can be sure that this practice is sound. And then remember that no matter where you start from, even if it's su alpam, very small, if it's consistent, it will lead to spiritual strength. And consistency in practice means spiritual strength, and that's the most important asset that we can acquire in this lifetime, is to have what's called yoga balena. Prabhupada mentions this in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavatam, in the verse prayana kale manasachalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva. Balena means strength. Without spiritual strength, we can't maintain nishta, or steadiness in practice. So, to this end, one should, 2 points about practice. One is, it's really hard to make it up at the last minute. Sometimes people become serious about Krishna consciousness, but they're, of course, Katvanga Maharaj is an example. Even at the last minute, you should try, and you can do it. But generally, if you try to pass a test at the last minute by studying the night before, it's very difficult, because it takes time to develop momentum, to have strength or acumen in any particular subject. So don't try to make it up at the last minute, because we've seen people near death, and then they say, I'd like to do it, but I don't have the yoga balena. I don't have the spiritual strength. So remember that your practice is giving you the spiritual strength now, so that you'll be prepared, especially for death. Because you have to be able to be strong when you leave this body in order to attain the destination. That requires nishta, steadiness in the practice. And we get that through sankhya purvaka, which means numerical strength. So you have to be consistent and keep a certain number every day. Can't fluctuate. So even if you start small, then keep that number and don't go below. And then gradually, when you feel spiritual strength, you climb the ladder, take the next steps, and take a higher number according to your qualification at that point, and then keep it. And if you stay there and you keep that practice going and arrange everything around that, then you come to the stage of nishta. And it's important also to remember that taste comes later, because oftentimes people say, I don't have any taste for this. But don't worry about that now. Worry about nishta, or steadiness now. Let your taste be in nishta, or steadiness, not in yugayatam nimeshena, that I'm feeling one moment to be like 12 years or more, or the tears are flowing from my eyes. That comes of its own accord. That comes as a descending process from Krishna. He awards that to those who have attained nishta. So have a taste for steadiness, and that comes from having a sense of duty. There is taste in doing one's duty, that I'm doing this for a higher cause. You can get a taste from that. So get your taste in nishta and duty. Don't worry about crying and rolling on the ground or feeling like you're devastated because you're chanting the holy name. That comes by Krishna's grace. Our part is to practice. We may be in the beginning, last point, we may be in the beginning feeling that I'm nowhere, I don't have any adhikari whatsoever, but everyone can grab on somewhere. The Bhagavatam says, Kama sarva kamo va moksha kam udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param, that even if you desire material enjoyment, start there at least. So there's several levels for motivation to your practice. One is fear. And in the first canto, first chapter of Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami says, apana samsritim goran, that if you have fear of material nature, you can call out to Krishna. The second level is prospect, and that's mentioned in Akama Sarva Kamava. Even if you want something, you should chant Hare Krishna. Third one is duty. Prahlad Maharaj set the example that the Lord said, take some benediction. He said, I don't want anything. I'm not a vanik. I'm not a merchant. I'm not asking. I'm just doing my duty. And the highest is Yugayatam Nimishena. It's love for Krishna. Any of those levels, whatever can keep us chanting, take the inspiration and do it to come to the point of Nishta. So we only have time for one reflection because I ran us out of time. Somebody reflect. But it better be good. Just kidding. Go ahead. Quick. There's only 30 seconds left. Malini.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for the wonderful tips that you gave. When you said that we should beg for something, usually I beg for a lot of things, but today I thought I'll beg for only one thing, that is, give me the ability to hear the holy name, because my mind, I've been recently reflecting, my mind is going in a million directions, especially while I'm chanting. So I was begging to give me the ability to hear the holy name. So that was one thing that I...
If you could add one more to smash our goals in 2022. It's not too early to start worrying, Malini. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, that was my first sankalpa.
Gaur Premanandi. Vanchakalpa.
Hare